Today we're going to make a Mardi Gras king bundt cake. It's my take on a traditional king cake that's actually an almond bourbon pound cake that's baked inside a crown mold and then topped with a bourbon glaze and all the colors. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. It's about to be a party. Just kidding, it's always a party. All right, let's prepare our pan. So, go ahead and spray your pan. You can use butter and then flour. Just a little bit of AP flour here. We're just, just make sure that you get into all the nooks and crannies, especially if you have like one of these like fanciful molds where there's like more crevices than actual straight places. Go ahead and tap it around. I am just going to, I'm giving it a good tap, 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 all the way around to get all those outside crevices. And then I want to make sure that I get, onto the center, because like I feel like sometimes the center is like the troublemaker. You know what I'm talking about. Everything else wants to come out, but the center's like, no. All right. Now we've got a generously coated pan, which is too coated. We don't want that. And then we are going to bang it out. Sorry, neighbor. Look at her. Yeah. If ever there were a pan that we're going to release, it would be this one. All right. Now, several more things that need to be done. I have my dry ingredients that need to be whisked together. AP flour, almond flour, almond meal, whatever you want to call it. Get it in there. Baking soda, just a smidge. Kosher salt, less than a smidge. Whisk together. All right, so almond flour has a little chunks in it, like it's a little chunky sometimes, and we're not stressed about that because why? Who doesn't, I'm not stressed about a chunk of almond flour in my cake. If I get a little chunk, I get a little chunk. It's gonna taste delightful. All right, so we got ourselves a nice little whisked dry ingredient situation here. Now, the next and last thing we're gonna do, you're like, are we ready yet? No, we're not. We are going to whisk together our sour cream and brandy. You're like, whoa girl, I know, get it in there. Also, it should be noted I'm making 2 times. So it's a lot of brandy, but it's not like half the bottle as it looks like. Now this is just gonna make it easier to get the sour cream and the brandy into your cake, right? So whisk that bourbon in there. Yes, you could make it without the booze, but it's Mardi Gras, and I feel like bourbon is required? I don't know. You can use water if you must. Anyways, whisk that in there real well. Set to the side. Now, you know me, and I did not temper my butter, so it was rock hard. So I just moved it a bit with a paddle and a blowtorch. And now we are ready to add our sugar. Now, I still want my butter to be cold, but I want it to be soft and cold. So I don't want to, you don't want it to be completely room temperature because we want a nice, dense pound cake. We're still making a pound cake. You want it to be that beautiful, dense texture. All right, so go ahead and get that butter in there. We are basically, since we're also making a pound cake, we don't want it to be light and fluffy. We want to just kind of create a nice paste with the butter. So we are not going to, cream it all the way as we would for another type of cake. So you see how we've got those nice it's come together and it's like it's like a paste in there. Excellent, that's what we want. And now we are going to beat in our eggs one at a time. You don't want to rush this part. You want to make sure that you get your eggs in there really well. Oh! 2 for 1. Last one, best one. Oh, darn, this cake is so yummy. One more tour about. Now we have a beautiful batter in there. It's silky smooth. I'm going to add my almond extract. Love almond extract. It's like one of my favorite smells on earth. It's so good. Oh man, so silky, so smooth in there. All right, now somehow we have to get all of this in here. And we're gonna do it because we are badasses in the kitchen. So go ahead and turn that down to low and start adding. Now, you don't want to overmix your batter, so you don't want to dilly-dally between additions, right? You want to add your sour cream and your bourbon mixture, you know, in a fairly quick fashion. Go back to your flour mixture. Now I stopped my mixer. I want to go ahead and get all the rest of my sour cream bourbon in there because I want to make sure that I don't overmix it while I'm, you know, kind of getting every last drop. Turn it back on, get the last of your flour in there, try to get all of it inside the bowl. Lindsey. Give her a nice little mix. And then we're gonna finish her by hand. One, because this is the full, and two, because we don't wanna overmix it. Now there is a nice amount of almond flour in here, which has no gluten, so that will help with the mixing situation. Just give that a full, make sure you get all the stuff down in that bottom crevice. I don't know why, but it just like lives down there sometimes. Now, as I said, I'm making 2 cakes, so I want to make sure that I get the appropriate amount in each one, so you don't have to scale your batter, you're just gonna plop it in. But I'm gonna scale mine. Just get a nice little dollop, get all down in those crevices down there. This mold is so elaborate. Elaborate. All right, I'm gonna grab myself a spoon because it is easier to spread in these decorative molds. Lessons learned in my recent obsession. Go ahead and get that all spread out. Oh yes, so delightful. All right, and now I've preheated my oven to 325 convection. If you do not have convection, don't turn it up, just do 325. I am going to get this baby in there, and she is going to cook for, let's be honest, close to an hour and 15, hour and 20. It's a little smaller mold. This is only like a 9-cup mold, so it's not gonna bake like the full 90 like we normally would have. So I'm gonna start checking in 30 minutes. It is not worth checking before that. Why? Because she's not been doing anything. So get her in. She is out. Look at her. Gorgeous. Yes. Go ahead and you can test it with a cake tester. Go ahead and poke that in and make sure it comes out with like a few clinging crumbs. You don't want this cake in particular, you don't want it to look wet at all. Not just battery, but like wet. Because it will stick to the pan if it doesn't have enough time to form that crust and to bake properly. So this one baked about an hour and 15 minutes because it's deeper. If you bake it in a shallower one, it's going to be closer to about an hour, maybe even just a smidge below, but cake tester is your best friend. So sadly, we need to let her cool for about 30 minutes and then we're going to pop her out from the mold. 30 minutes allows that, allows it to release from the sides and slip out. Are you hearing me, little one? Yes, you are. She is. She's good. She's gonna come out clean. Totes. All right, let's let her cool. It's been 30 minutes, and I am just looking to see if there's anywhere that has a touch of a stick going on, right? And I'm just gonna go ahead and just run my offset around that and just kind of like pull it away from the sides a little bit. This is a tricky mold because the little, fluted bits don't necessarily love the offset. I'm gonna do the center because, that guy is always a tricky bit. Say a little prayer for you. I'll try not to look so surprised. Feel a little beaten, browbeaten. Look how beautiful she is. She is a crown, and she is ready for her adorn. No, not yet. We have to let her cool completely, Tier. I know. I want to Mardi Gras this right now, but we cannot. We must wait. You could, though, if you wanted to soak it with a little extra bourbon at this moment. Like, no one is stopping you. But we're gonna let her cool completely. And then we're gonna glaze and adorn with all the Mardi Gras colors. Festive! Get ready. I'm ready, clearly. Let's let her cool. We're ready. Do you like that? We are ready to assemble and do the things. Let's Mardi Gras this. All right, so we've got our cake, and it's on a really, that made it look like the cake is really heavy. It's actually the cake stand that's like, oh my gosh. So put her on your favorite cake stand, cake plate, cake whatever, a regular plate. Yes. And then get yourself some confectioner's sugar. We're gonna make a real simple glaze here, peeps. Okay, so this is about a cup, like a half, it's about a half cup. Yeah, right there. I'm gonna take a little tiny pinch of kosher salt. And then we're gonna start adding some bourbon. Add your favorite bourbon or whiskey, whatever you'd like. Now, if you want this glaze to be white, then you are going to have to either add food dye or you cannot use bourbon. So you do you. But I am going to roll with the bourbon and accept the color. All right, so you see what we've got here? We've got a nice, look at that. That's a glaze for you. Now, because this is basically straight whiskey, we want it to be a thin coating, okay? You can make yours thicker, and like, you do you. But I can still smell the whiskey on my breath, so, and you know, I got the rest of a day to go, so here we are. This looks like a great, okay? And we've got our bourbon, and we've got our little garnish, which we're ready to use. Are we ready? I mean, you've been ready. I am now ready. Just kidding. All right, so we are ready to glaze, and we are going to just, you know, pour it up as one does. Coming around the mountain. Look at this. Gosh, this mold is everything. Now, before it sets, we are going to sprinkle and adorn, and we're just gonna, you know, alternate the Mardi Gras colors. So I'm just gonna go ahead and like, I'm gonna alternate. And like the little, I love purple. I don't know why I just said that, but I do. It's like just a thing. Let's go with green. Okay, yellow. Love. There are Mardi Gras colored sprinkles all over my counter and the floor. So awesome. Look at this jewel that we have here. She is so pretty. Yes. We should probably let our glaze set completely before we slice it, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I know, but the good news is that since it's just bourbon and 10X, it's gonna set really fast. So in like 10 minutes, we will be eating cake, and I'm excited about that. Yes, I'm also gonna clean up the Mardi Gras festivities that are on my counter. Yes. It's time to try. Yes, it is. We are gonna cut into the crown, and I am really stoked, obviously. Let's see, where to cut? Oh man, oh dear. This is such a soft, but there's like a beautiful crust on the outside. You guys, everybody gets a top, if you will. Are we ready? I know we are. Ta-da! Do you see that nice dense crumb that's like perfect pound cake texture? It's just perfectly baked, but still super moist. And like, ooh, that glaze on the inside. Yeah, this is some good cake right here. Oh dear. Wow. Soft, tender, moist crumb. Beautiful almond flavor that like hit a bourbon on the inside. And like you're definitely getting a zing from the glaze on the outside, which is magical. Oh, with like a crunchy bottom and outside and like the nice tender soft inside. Wow,